As I said, the temperature is rising. I have so many questions I want to ask myself, but I would hold it down and allow allow the people to ask first.
If you're in the position of Mrs. Okonjo-Iweala, right, where she was, her boss asked her to do X, Y, Z. According to Nigerians, she's well educated. In Nigerian terminology, she's a technocrat and stuff, and she's got all this integrity and credibility, but she's been asked to make certain decisions. And most Nigerians can see everybody's learned from it. So if you were in that position, what would you recommend? What would be your recommendation regarding the decisions Okonjo-Iweala has made? Or if you find let's assume you were the Minister of Finance and you find yourself in a compromising situation like that, what would be your take?
Your question is very hypothetical. I've got nothing in common with Okonjo-Iweala, nothing absolutely common with her. You started by asking a question that really is for the electorate. That's about ideology. Don't forget, I am only but one single aspirant, not yet. And that question is for the totality of Nigerian electorate versus their politicians. That's how you started. Just to answer your question, I will not do anything wrong. It's a hypothetical question. Whoever you are, and you ask me, I will just not do anything wrong. And if you read my brief history, there was a time that legislators were being compromised, and I stood my ground. I even exposed what was going on. So if you knew that about me, maybe you wouldn't have asked that question. Whoever you are, and so long as there is no direct immediate threat to my life, because I'm not supposed to take risks with my life, there are a certain level, if it's to make the ultimate sacrifice for your country, you will have to. But in this context, I don't think anybody can make me, I'm the kind of individual that a driver is taking me to the office and the police stop us only for him to realize that his driving license expired last week, and he notified the transport department who are taking their time to do it. I'll simply ask him to get down there, let them take the driver to the police station until he produces it, and I'll drive myself to the office. Simple. So I will not bring out anything to give the policeman. I'm the kind of person that you find the car documents have expired. I would rather they take the car to the police station and hold it there until everything is regularized than for me to remove 50, 100 naira to give the policeman. But your question is quite hypothetical, and I think by saying that I won't do anything wrong, it's no. I think you're wrong. Yeah. Please go and find out what happened during the saga. I was the
resign from office. Somebody resigned from office. Who's the person?
I think there's a need to do a lot of, politically speaking, I don't want to start touching old wounds that have healed. Yes. But really there is need to do some research back then. Please come back to Nigeria. Nigeria's pressing problems now, let me repeat, terror groups, violent crimes, all forms of insecurity. So you're going plutonic, talking about Johnson, others resigning because of the way Brexit is going. Look, I'm a very practical individual. Very practical. What we have in Nigeria is deadly. And I'm talking about Nigeria's problems. I'm not talking about any hypothetical issue. If you want to resign, resign and go. Somebody is waiting to take your job. And if someone is telling you to do the wrong thing, for God's sake, let us know. We will make him resign. If what is more than resign, we'll make him do it. But bear in mind, you're in the comfort of UK, in London. You have not seen people slaughtered on the road. You have not seen, maybe only on social media. You've not seen the kind of poverty, you've not seen the kind of problems we're seeing. That's why I'm talking about Boris Johnson. Sorry, that's why I'm talking about Boris Johnson. We're in a completely different world, and I am practical, I'm hands-on. I want us to address the pressing issues in Nigeria at the moment. So let's not get hypothetical.
Okay, thanks very much for that. And I think, just if I may add very quickly, mindset in Nigeria is another issue that needs dealing with. So I would be a gentleman now. I know a lot of men are putting their hands up.
I wanted to say.
May we allow the lady, and then I'll get to the men, okay? All right.
Okay, thank you. I'd just like to say it's nice to see someone as young as yourself going for the office, the highest office in Nigeria. The question which I have, I represent women, so I am going to answer that question.
There are more of you around.
I'm representing. This is how it is sometimes. Okay, what I'd like to say is, what are your plans to promote more women into senior leadership positions? For example, you're going for the office, high office. You could have a woman as your running mate for VP.
You read my mind.
Uh-huh. Well.
You read my mind. But you know, ultimately, the factors at that point in time, right now I'm an aspirant, not even a candidate. Okay. And I'm one of those who never want to count my eggs before they hatch, as they say. Yeah, but speaking right now, I have asked at least 30 different women to contest various offices, ranging from reps to Senate. Right now. In fact, on my phone, you will see, just before I came in here, one of them sent me her posters that she's already contesting. Beyond encouraging them to contest offices, I'm not part of the electorate, I'm not INEC. There's not much I can do. And then in terms of appointment, I believe in credibility. And the moment you believe in credibility, you know, many other factors, including gender, are going to fizzle away, making the way for more women to come into cabinet, to come into the public service, and to lead parastatals and so on and so forth. So I believe, and you start looking from somebody's lifestyle even before he gets there. Whatever I tell you, I tend to have real evidence to it. So why don't you just do a little research on how many women work in Bayes University? You will find it's about the highest percentage among Nigerian universities. And along that, I also want to answer your question. My institution is the only private institution of its type in Nigeria that has staff and students from every state of the Federation. And I have challenged others to do it, and they can't do it. You will find a typical institution having 95% of their staff from 2 states and 100% of them from one geopolitical zone. I have from each and every state of the Federation. At some point in time, and I think up till now, there are more Christians working in my companies than Muslims. There is a chapel on my campus. It was allowed. It's faith, and they are, you know, practice your faith. Everybody respect everybody, nothing more. and it's going. But I have challenged others to also do the same by allowing other faiths to practice, and they won't. So for women, you know, all the way, if I can have a suitable woman running mate, I wouldn't mind. And I thought about this even yesterday. When we get really talking, I will let you know. It's not for this. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for that.
It's not easy. I've gone through your profile reasonably, and I have a couple of questions that I want to ask. As a legislator, can we have an indication of how many bills you've proposed in the House? I know you talked about the procurement bill, which is very, very good. But can we have an indication? I've not done that research, but it would be good to know some of the bills that you've proposed in the House. And what's your personal view on the remuneration of legislators in Nigeria? Because this is a very serious issue. A lot of people out there, including myself, believe that Nigerian legislators are overpaid, and we all read about how a lot of their payment is outside the purview of the revenue. Is a revenue board, what you call them in Nigeria. So really, that's one issue. What's your take on that? And really, I think Nigerians, anybody that comes up and say, look, we are going to work on this legislative, because sincerely, the gift vis-a-vis in relation to our GDP, the amount that the legislators get is out of this world. And so really, what's your take on that one is another thing I want to...
Yeah, you've asked it repeatedly. I want to answer you.
And the third question here, if you just take them triple barrel, I'll call them, has got to do with the civil service. The impression we all have, which is true really, sincerely, it's not an impression. I visit Nigeria, I was from Nigeria, I came back June 14th from Nigeria, is that the civil service in Nigeria are just boys and girls of the politicians, really. So politicians just come in flood everywhere with the civil service. So if merit is not used to get people into the civil service, how do you expect them to be very, very effective and efficient? And I'm not surprised then that they have been owed 13 months, because sincerely, the politicians don't respect them, with due respect, because people just come in, get in their own people, your other person comes in, get in their own people. So what's your take on that one too, please? You've addressed federal character to a reasonable extent earlier when you spoke. So I think you're a merit-based person, which is very, very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that.
Can I ask, how really do you want to be told the truth?
Well, it's Freedom Square here.
Okay. Okay.
I want to be told the truth.
Okay, that is when I come to answer your question on remuneration of the parliament. Just know that I'm not in the parliament. I'm not holding brief for anybody. Okay. But as for the number of bills, it is not the quantity, it is the quality. And I was the proposer of the Prohibition of Inflated Government Contracts Bill 2004. I was the proposer of the Compensation for Delayed Salaries, Pensions and Remunerations Bill 2005. And I'm not the maker of the Constitution. Of course, when I didn't go back in 2007, they were allowed to die very quickly. And part of the reason they didn't want me back was because of how badly they wanted the current Public Procurement Act in place, which has the due process layer. So it's not the quantity, it is the quality. And I told you that if you get the right Procurement Act for Nigeria, that is the pill you swallow to kill the tapeworm eating 90% of our nourishment. You have not made a distinction between bills and motions, and lots of people do not know the difference between them. A bill is one that is signed into law. It has to be concurred by the Senate. It has to go through the second, third reading. It has to hold public conferences, back committee of conference between the House and the Senate, then taken to the President to sign into law. That is, now, as for motions, yeah, I sponsored the motion for the provision of medical services to victims of accidents and violent crimes, 2003, and at least 3 others in the House. While I was in the Senate, I was the one who sponsored the motion about the prevalence of wrong medical diagnosis in Nigeria. I believe there are some doctors amongst us here. I also sponsored the motion about the inadequacy of the $1 billion promised by Shell for the 50 years of pollution in Ogoniland. Remember, I'm from the north, agrarian society, and we don't have oil there. I was the one who cried out about it. By then, in 2011 ending, the BP Shell had already paid $8 billion for the Gulf of Mexico oil spill. And we're promising only $1 billion for 50 years of pollution in the Niger Delta. I was the one who cried about that. Please, the National Assembly is online. There must be a way that you can search and find everything. And that is why I invite people, whatever I tell you, there is hard evidence to it. Now, coming to your second question on remuneration, and I asked you if you really want to be told the truth. Before even answering you, in 2011, I needed a loan, personal loan, to renovate my house. And the banker came to my office, my private office that was, because that day I closed early and went to the university. She came with an offer letter like they do for all senators. Offer letter is ready, your name, everything, just sign here, sign here. The next day or same day, you have money disbursed into your account. And I told her, no, not that letter. This is the process I want. I've been a banker before, and I want to go through it, the motions. So I brought out, said, this is my salary. When I told her I was not going through the offer she was giving me, she said, okay, what's your salary? It was 768,000 naira, which is by then about 3,000 pounds, 2011. And I think she was a principal manager just below AGM. And I showed her the pay slip. What she did, she looked, sir, this is your salary? Like this. This is your salary? I said, look at it, yes, that's my salary. She gave it back to me. She said, sorry, you can't get this loan. I said, yeah, that's why I told you I'm applying for a different one based on my paying capacity. Now, this was hard evidence. She saw my actual salary. Now, people have never bothered, like it is now, simple things like what's the difference between a bill and a motion. People have never bothered to find out what is your salary and what are your office allowances. That is where the problem is. Office allowances are meant for your legislative business, and this is derived directly from the Nigerian Constitution. If I ask you now, how many of the people making noise about the remunerated fat pay of legislators, how many of them can tell you exactly what is the constitutional role of a legislator? Nobody will tell you. The constitutional role of a legislator: 1, lawmaking; 2, oversight function; 3, constituency relationship. Now, for being a legislator, you are paid your salary. For oversight committees, when you're traveling, to go and oversight any work whatsoever, they are responsible for your moves. For your constituency relationship, which is directly from the Constitution, they decide to lump all and everything, pay you. It is your headache how you go and manage your constituency. Now here is the catch. It is okay to demonize legislators, vilify them. It is okay to praise and sympathize with the electorate and Nigerians that they are suffering while others. But have you ever bothered to know how legislators are elected? No. You've never bothered to know. Have you ever bothered to know how they go into their constituencies and leave their constituencies without being attacked? No, you have never been. I have been a legislator, and I know what it is. As a common House of Reps member, you wake up in the morning, you have tens of people by your doorstep waiting. They don't want to hear anything. Give money, and that's how you move out. Till you get to the doorstep of your car, till you leave. That is how you live. You are practically under siege from your electorate. But the fact of the matter is that nobody will come into the floor of the chamber. Nobody will face the Nigerian press because of how Nigerian press, I don't know what you're going to do with this material, because of how the Nigerian press is going to report it. That is why I asked you if you want to hear the truth. But the relationship between the parliamentarians you're talking about and the electorate is an antagonistic one, sustained only by money. A state governor has everything from the commissioner of police, from the DSS, and everybody protecting them. Senator has nothing. If you're lucky, you apply for one police officer and they give him to sit in the front of your car. You're free. You can never ever enter your constituency and come out without spending money. If I took 786,000 naira to 8 local governments, share this into 8 local governments, assuming I do nothing absolutely for myself and my family. Go to your... Now there's somebody who will tell you that for the past 3 days, they have not eaten food in his family, in his house. Another one will say sickness, someone is in bed in the hospital. Another one will say the wind came and blew away the house. Another one will say that on his way here he had an accident. Another one will say that his children have been at home throughout this term, have not gone back to school. Another one will tell you, particularly in the north, the wife is in hospital, has just given birth, cannot be discharged until endless, and never mind talking. Just bring out money and give for your own safety. Your own safety, and it's not even being re-elected, for your own safety. That is how. But the Nigerian general public does not care to know about this. Then go back to find out how were they elected. Those electorate that you're talking about, what kind of... And someone like me, I am not claiming to be entirely different. When it came to election, I have already decided this is what I can afford and this is what I'm going to spend, including for this presidential one. Anything beyond that, I cannot. I never want to put myself in a situation in which I will feel I need to make it back. But where desperation sets in, and they feel they have to make that office by hook and by crook, they are ready to spend anything whatsoever, do anything. And again, to this effect, I ask you to go and find out truly about me. Even during primaries, I said, yes, even if I have the money, I will not spend it. I will not give anybody money to vote me. This really happened. How many politicians do that for you in Nigeria? I don't want to single myself out to say I'm completely different. No human being should do that. We're all one and the same. So if you want to hear the blunt truth about this, the truth is that our societies are complicit. When legislators bring out money, first of all, even let them not go to the parliamentarians and demand money. The moment you stop that, you, the civil societies, work on the electorate to stop going to collect money from parliamentarians. And then the fat paychecks or whatever they are called, strike that out. Fair deal. Fair deal. Because you have that principal constitutional function for them of constituency relationship. You have made it better for them. In proper democracies in the UK, I believe they call it surgery. The members of parliament call it surgery. They don't go there and sit with cash. Nobody will come with the list of what I told you. If they come with complaints, for example, for the past X number of months, I have been waiting for medical care at this hospital. And it is not requiring that MP to bring out cash and give that individual. It's for him to go to the NHS or write the NHS or do whatever there is. If somebody says no school fees, it's for him to work on the educational authorities not to bring out cash. But in the Nigerian society, forget it. You bring out the cash and you do it. Again, for your own safety. Now, this tells me how complicit we all are. Because the civil society, the society itself, communities, clergy, everybody, we look at the problem, we just take our heads off it. This is Nigeria now, what can we do about it? That thing that you turn your head away is the thing that is killing you. This is the fact of the matter. We lump the problems of society on government. As they say, it takes two hands to clap. Believe you me, if you know what the problems of society are, they are far greater than that of government. What is government? Government, 4 years, elect them. Even if they are bad, after 4 years, throw them out. Society produces leaders, repeatedly producing bad ones. So who has the problem now? Society. Even the insecurity, what led to it? The insurgency in the Northeast. The societies did not believe in sending children to school. Even if they go to school, it is all right for public schools to be bad. No moral education, no nothing. So the problem is actually a problem of society, not a problem of government.
Okay, thanks very much. And I think that, again, falls very nicely into the issue of the mindset.